I have to say that a lot of what we do is out of fear of being alone. And I understand the fear because people don't usually volunteer to be alone. Uh, kind of like when you're the people that were in the army and the sergeant says, "You take the lead, you go first." So all the booby traps and any enemy that's ahead is going to get you first. And that's probably not the most alone position you could be in, is being taking the lead in that kind of a situation. Uh, and that's how going alone and going it alone, or going to a club alone, or going to school alone, or going to a restaurant alone, is kind of up there with that, especially when you don't do it a lot. And, you know, people don't go to the movies alone. They have a hard time with that. I go to the movies alone all the time, and I love it. And have no. When I was younger, I had problems doing it. I didn't want to do it. Uh, I would do some crazy things to try to get someone to go with me. The problem was getting someone to go to a movie that I wanted to go to, not a movie they wanted to go to. And usually that was my reasoning for getting someone to go, because I really wanted to see the movie, but I didn't want to go alone. Now, I understand that. And when I worked in the city, it was um, the icebreaker, really, because when you're in the city, you're alone and you don't talk to people in the city. Uh, you tend to stay by yourself and mind your own business and not get involved in people's arguments or anything like that. Uh, and basically, just learn how to step over the bodies, kind of thing. And and that's where I got my training, I guess. Uh, I worked for a few years in the city of Manhattan, and you got to go to lunch by yourself. You got to get to work by yourself. You got to get home. You got to take the subway. You got to take the bus, and you're around a lot of people, but you never know if someone means to do you harm. Uh, and when you find out, it's usually too late at that point. Um, so, and this is why people wear masks, because they don't want to be alone. They want to fit in. They want to be part of the crowd. They want to fit in with the crowd. It's like when you're in the army, you wear green fatigues. You wear camouflage, whatever color camouflage your unit wears, whether it's gray or green or whatever, whether it's desert or woods, all the different colors of camouflage. Usually, your group wears one color. And I remember with the show MASH with Klinger. He dressed up as a woman and wanted to get a Section 8, and that was the point, that he was different than everybody else because he was the only one wearing a dress, and he always wore a dress. And, in the army back in Korea days, you were considered crazy, and that was his reasoning for wearing it, because he wanted a Section 8. He wanted to go home on a crazy bill. And, of course, they didn't give it to him because they knew he wasn't crazy, because oh, they knew why he was doing it, and so it didn't fly. It would probably fly more today than it did back then. Uh, and that's another reason people wear a mask, because they don't want to be labeled crazy. They don't want to venture outside the prison of life. To wear a dress, or to date a man when you're a man, or to date a woman when you're a woman, is to go outside social norms. and and you take heat for that. You take a lot of bullshit for that, and so most people, you know, they don't talk about it, whether they admit it or not. They don't talk about it. They just do what they want behind closed doors and call it a day, and that's fine. But gays shouldn't have to be in the closet, and gays should be able to be out in the open, go in the stores, have a job, uh, go to the hospital, uh, have rights, inheritance rights, medical rights, all that stuff that comes from a man and woman relationship. And they basically they've gotten it, all those rights, but now they're taking them away slowly. Um, and I think the parents don't like it when it comes to their kids. I remember I would go to the beach and walk on the boardwalk in a dress or in a girl's outfit, and uh, there'd be a little boy, maybe 5 years old, 6 years old, with his father, and his father would get really mad at me because he knew the conversation he was going to have with his son when I was no longer there. And that was, why was that man wearing a dress? And I could hear the conversation without even being there. And he looked at me like that was the conversation they were going to have and all that. And didn't like me planting seeds in the son's head that this is okay and maybe I want to wear a dress. Maybe I want to look like that. And the father didn't want the son to think that way. So along those lines, that's where you have a lot of your problems. You know, the older generation is more prejudiced towards that, and where the younger generation is not. And the father doesn't want to one day say, "Look at my son in a tutu," yeah. And a friend of mine once had a son, and he came up to me and was talking to me. He wasn't being prejudiced or anything. He wasn't uh, saying anything bad to me. I was dressed in a dress, and I said to the son, and the son was like 5 years old or something, and maybe 4 years old. He was young. And I said, "What color dress do you want?" And the boy was like, "Oh, you gotta wear a dress." I said, "The one thing you protest is the one thing he's gonna do the most." So I was like, "You better watch that," And one day you might be buying him a dress, so don't be so quick to say no. And at that point, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna love your son because he wears a dress. Well, some people do. Uh, you blow the image they had of their uh, the next Babe Ruth son that they gave birth to. It's like the father that came to the hospital with a baseball bat and a glove, and the kid wants to play with dolls and not not play baseball. So it's just, and baseball's not a male sport anyway. It's a unisex, especially with softball, and you know, so it's really ridiculous there anyway. Uh, but you know what I'm trying to say. And God, God has a sense of humor, you know, and I do that. I go to the supermarket in a dress. I go to the beach in a dress. I go to the movies in a dress. I go to court in a dress. I don't care. Nobody's gonna tell me how to dress. And I get my nails done. I get my hair done. Um, I wear earrings. Not really big into piercings. I had a pierced tongue at one point, and it messed up my teeth because when you eat certain things, you bite the tongue ring, not wanting to on purpose, but it just happens and it hurts, you know. So it damaged my teeth, but I ended up getting rid of that. I swallowed it. It came loose in my mouth, and I ended up swallowing it, and I just never replaced it. But and they say the tongue ring is good for oral sex, and I don't know. I had mixed results as far as that was concerned, you know. But I would say you just be yourself, you know. Eh, Whenever you're not being yourself, you're not following what God wants you to do. God, if you're gay, God made you gay. If God made you bi, God made you bi. If God made you straight, God made you straight. And you should be whatever God made you, you know. And you can play in the straight world, you can play in the bi world, you can play in the gay world, you can play in it all, sort of like I do. And, you know, it's just, I don't wear a box, I don't fit in a box. Anytime you say, oh, you're this, you belong in that box, I already blew it out the water. I already blow it out the water. And I don't fit anymore, you know. So that's what happens. And, you know, it's just, I try to be who I want to be and not who society tells me to be. And I don't want the things that society tells me I want, like a fast car or a big house or 3 kids and a wife. You know, I don't want any of those things. I mean, there was a time when I did, but I'm glad I didn't get them. I'm glad I'm not saddled with a uh, you know, what do you call child support and alimony or any of those things. And you know, today's world, it's not really good to have a kid. The government runs your life. If you make any mistakes, you look to go to jail. Uh, just the hint, the hint of you doing anything inappropriate is blown up out of proportion. Unless you're the president, of course, but you know, it's blown out of proportion, and you know, you can't even be affectionate with your children without someone raising a red flag of some kind. And I think it's just really pathetic and really dangerous. And you know, I understand the caution. I understand why they do what they do, but it's just not right. It's just not right. Uh, there are a lot of affectionate parents out there that aren't doing anything nefarious, and you know, and it's just I don't know. Uh, I don't me myself, you know, with the way I am in this world and my position in this world, they would use children to blackmail me and a wife. They would use to blackmail me to make me do what they want me to do and say what they want me to say and work the job they want me to work and all that stuff. And for that reason alone, I just can't see getting married or having children. And it's not so much that I don't want to do those things. I don't want to put my wife or children against up to that or have them feel like I'm doing something to protect them. Uh, you know, it's just not right for them. And the way I am, I wouldn't do it. I would put them at risk because I can't be bought, I can't be blackmailed. And, you know, it's just. Uh, because it's a slippery slope. Once you start doing that, you find out you can blackmail them, it's like it's like Epstein. Epstein blackmailed everybody, and you know, and he didn't stop with one payment. I mean, they keep going and going and going, and it's the goose that keeps laying golden eggs. And you know, I just couldn't put myself in that position. I couldn't see myself being put in that position for my family or people that they would use. And I just and that's why I don't have a car, I don't have a house, I don't need any of those things. And if I did have them, they would use it against me. They would use it as a way to get me to do what they wanted. And that's what they do with everybody. That's what they do with you. Don't go to work tomorrow and see what happens. Don't make a car payment, see what happens. You know, and see how your life changes. Go to work in a dress, see what happens. Uh, you know, uh, go to work with a boyfriend and see what happens. And a girlfriend at the same time. See what happens. You know, and I don't know that you'll like what happens. I don't think you'll be surprised. I don't think you'll be surprised by what happens, but I don't think you'll like what happens. And you know, you'll see who your friends are. You'll know who your friends are right away. And put on a dress and it's not Halloween now. It's not Halloween. I mean, Halloween. A lot of people wear dresses only because they think they can and get away with it. I did. I wore dresses on Halloween and I loved it. I had a great time. I loved the attention. It was funny. I made a lot of people laugh, and but it wasn't. That's not why I did it. Uh, I did it because first time I did it because it was a cheap costume. I just borrowed a friend of mine's clothes and I was done. So, but and I won the costume contest that year, uh, and it worked out well. But and that I guess that gave me a taste of what it was like to wear girls' clothes out in public, and I would never wear them not on Halloween like I do now. Uh, but I got over the hump. I got whatever fear I had, I got rid of, and now I I relish the idea of doing it. I look forward to it. I when I shop on Amazon. I shop in the mall. I shop for girls' clothes. When I buy shoes, I buy girls' shoes. So it's just what I do. But a lot of people are afraid to do all those things because they don't want to be alone. They don't want to be ostracized. They don't want to live that life. They don't want to lose a life that they live now. But do you really have a life if you're living a lie? And I say you don't. And I didn't put the camera on me because it's not about me. It's about the message. And if you go to xxnx.com, uh, you'll find uh, free porn, uh, straight porn, gay porn, trans porn, all types of porn. It's all free. xxnx.com. Yeah, a lot of people know about it. It's not an unheard of site, but maybe this is the first time you're hearing about it. But if you go there, now I have a caution for porn. Porn is not good for a man. Uh, Women aren't really attracted to it like men are, but it's not good to get your rocks off by watching porn. Uh, but it's kind of like an unavoidable thing. So maybe you'll learn something if you watch it at the best, at the very best, and maybe you'll get enticed to do something different.